Okay, today we get back to Cybernetics, a series I completely forgot I was doing. And today's chapter is Chapter 8, Ingredients of the Success Type Personality and How to Acquire Them. And really what this chapter is about is what sets people apart that are successful from people that are not. And it's just a few simple ways of reframing things. It's just a few simple ways of thinking about things that are going to really open you up to the possibility of being everything that you can be, because I want you to think of yourself in two ideas. Think of yourself as somebody that's defeated by fear. Maybe this is the current version of you. And then think about somebody that is open to the possibility, that is receptive to their mistakes, that is able to learn from their mistakes and then forget about them and continue to strive, and has a defined goal and a defined direction and knows where they're going, and knows that in every defeat is the seed of victory. And that's really what this chapter is about. I think it's a very interesting chapter, and I'm going to go over some of the finer points and talk about them. So hopefully you guys stay tuned for that. Okay. Just as doctors learn to diagnose disease from certain symptoms, failure and success can also be diagnosed. The reason is that a man does not simply find success or come to failure. He carries their seeds around in his personality and character. I found one of the most effective means of helping people achieve an adequate or successful personality is to first of all give them a graphic picture of what a successful personality looks like. Remember, the creative guidance mechanism within you is a goal-striving mechanism, and the first requisite for using it is to have a clear-cut goal or target to shoot for. Okay, so I'm just gonna go into the real meat and potatoes of this chapter. The picture of success. In this chapter, I'm going to give you the same prescription that I would give you should you come to my office. I have found that an easy to remember picture of successful personality is contained in the letters of the word success itself. The success type personality is composed of S, sense of direction; U, understanding; C, courage; C, charity; E, esteem; S, self-confidence; S, self-acceptance. So I'm not going to do what I normally do in these videos, which kind of go through the entire chapter. I don't think it's going to be as productive for this, but I'm going to talk about what these things mean to me and what he means in terms of building upon past, building into a better person, understanding where you're going. Because I think the difference between somebody that's successful and somebody that is not successful is the ability to have faith in themselves, the ability to believe in the process, the ability to have fun in the process. Because we can all create these grand goals, we can all create these grand things, but what happens when you fail? What happens when you take the first step and completely fall and completely whiff, and now you have to refine your balance? Now you have to get over that insecurity that you feel. Now you have to get over that fear, that anxiety, that fear of what people are going to say about you. And I think the difference can be found in these words, and that's why I'm going to explain them through my perspective. So, number one, sense of direction. Think about this as like you need to know where you're going before you can get to the place that you want to go. Do you immediately just start driving, or do you put something into your GPS before you've been there before? And that's really this idea. It's like, where are you heading? Where are you going? And are you going in the right direction? And I think this is a constant battle of, am I doing this? Am I doing it the right way? And I think you oftentimes have to refocus and look in the mirror and say, is this the right direction I'm heading, or am I going a little off course? And I think this is a constant battle with looking at where you're going, evaluating it, redirecting yourself, and keeping yourself in a positive direction. Because I promise you, it's not that difficult to get in a better situation. It's just about directing yourself for long enough and doing the good habits, doing the good things, doing the things that are developing you instead of the things that are stagnating you on a daily basis. The next one is understanding. Understanding is simply about being honest with yourself and being able to look at things objectively and look at things factually. There's a big difference between what actually happens and what we take from things. Think about an argument you have where the person is clearly in the wrong, and I'm not absolving you of any sort of responsibility. I'm just saying, like, a scenario where something's completely wrong and somebody's unable to see that what they did was also wrong, and you're like, this is pretty evident, pretty obvious, why can't you admit that they're wrong? But in their eyes, they're not seeing the truth. And we have this bias in our perception. We have this bias in the way that we see things. And sometimes we can't see the truth because we're too close to it. Sometimes we have to take a step back and actually evaluate things. Let's say something really bad happened to you. Let's say you had a great defeat, a great failure, but in fact, that's the stepping stone to great success. Like, I had a huge setback in my life a few months ago, and it was the sole reason that I published my book. So, in fact, it was a good thing. In fact, it was something that drove me to do something I've always wanted to do, and I was holding back, and I was, keeping myself reserved, and I was saying I'll do this in the future. But when I experienced this great defeat, I was like, you know what? I have to take a step forward. So why don't I do this? And I did that, and it's one of my favorite things I've ever done, and it would not have happened if I had not experienced this great hit to my ego. So always be able to reframe things, always be able to look at things differently, always try to take a step back and see it from another person's perspective, see it from a bird's eye view. Like, in everything we can reframe our experience. I oftentimes say this, but there's parents who no there's people who drink because their parents were alcoholics, and there's people who would never drink because their parents were alcoholics. And it's about you and how you internalize it and how you move forward with your experience. It could be your greatest achievement that comes from this pain, this hardship, or it could be your greatest defeat. And it's all about the way we reframe things and the way we take things. 3 is courage. I think this is pretty evident. We all have those goals. We all have the things that we want to do, but it's very few people that have the courage to go out there and do it. And it's just understand that you're not going to be good right away. Understand that you're going to have to fail 1,000 times. Understand that whatever pain and hardship that's going to come to you, it's not as bad as the pain and hardship that will come from not knowing. And I think when you reframe it this way, and when you understand that, like, if you don't live up to your potential, the only person that you're letting down is yourself. And it's like, who cares what other people say about you? Who cares what other people think about you if you enjoy your own company, if you enjoy who you are? And I think that's so essential to living a good life and living a happy life. And it's very weird that we don't take these things into take these things into consideration at all. And it's really something I want you to start working for, is that I can do this. I may not be good enough today, but I will be good enough in the future. And just continually go forward with this idea of faith, with this idea that you have this path, and if you stick with it, you will succeed. And if you are undying in this fortitude, if you're undying in this conviction, I think you're going to stand a really good shot. 4, charity. This is more of a I guess you'd say metaphysical or esoteric concept, but if you do something and it only benefits yourself, I don't think it's going to bring you any happiness. Think about people that win the lottery. It's pretty hollow. It's pretty empty. They get millions and millions of dollars, but they usually end up spending it in the worst ways possible. And it's because they didn't do anything good with it. They didn't do anything purposeful. How many people set up a business or set up a charity that benefited people? And, through that, they were able to find more purpose and meaning. Literally just look at all of the philanthropists now. I mean, we can look into their purpose for creating these charities, but like, think of how many rich people start charities. Think of how many people that make a lot of money try to give back. And it's because once you have money, you understand how it's not the only thing, and that the way that you treat people and the way that you act towards other people is much more important. So that, through the course of your journey, through the course of picking yourself up and building yourself up into something, you have to also have a consideration that, this means nothing if I don't use this newfound strength, this newfound power to lift other people up, because, it's a very, very, very lonely path if I just do this alone. And it takes a village, and I should give back to the people that help me. I should help out the people in my community. I should help out the people in my family. And I think, a noble pursuit such as this is going to bring you so much more fulfillment than you could ever imagine. And, it's essential to living a good life. It's essential to having that humility, because, think of how many people have gotten to the upper echelon of things and forgotten where they came from, forgotten their identity, forgotten what got them there. And because of this, it led to their downfall. Think of Caesar, think of Alexander, think of anybody who has that hubris, who forgets their roots, and charity is just a way to counteract this. Esteem. Just think of esteem as the way that you view yourself and the way that you approach every situation. And let's say you have one of two ways. I think we can break it down pretty easily into one of two ways. You walk into a interview and you believe you're going to get a job versus you walk into an interview and you don't believe you're going to get a job. The person that walks in and believes that they're going to get the job immediately stands a better chance than the person who doesn't, simply for the fact that they haven't already defeated themselves. Your greatest enemy when it comes to any challenge is yourself. The moment you start doubting, the moment you start having anxiety, the moment you start having fear, you freeze up. It's like Dune says, fear is the mind killer. The moment you're afraid is the moment you can't think anymore. If you can't think clearly, how are you going to act clearly? How are you going to approach the situation clearly? I don't know about you, but I've never experienced any moment of stress where I made the best decision. But when I'm able to calm myself down, when I'm able to take myself out of the situation and have a little bit of perspective, have that bird's eye view, I can take a step back and I can say, oh, I just need to do this. I just need to do this. And I immediately make a better decision than I would if I was so consumed in the moment, that I was so self-defeated, that I was telling myself, I can't do this. I have to do this and this and this and this. And it's like, I really want you to just play with these ideas and think about these ideas and notice yourself when you're stressed out. Notice the decisions you make and understand that I'm not going to make a good decision when I'm thinking like this, and I need to take a step back. I need to take a break. I need to get my mind off things so that I can be a better version of myself. Self-confidence is pretty evident. It's simply just believing that you can. A section of this chapter is very interesting when it was talking about boxers. Think about boxers on their come up. It's very important for them to slowly fight better and better and better people instead of just throwing them to the wolves, because in boxing in particular, if you have a loss, it's very hard to get those big ticket fights, and you want to slowly build your fighter, slowly build his level of confidence, his level of proficiency, and really test him at a great rate. And Dr. Maxwell Maltz says to do something very similar, which is don't throw yourself to the wolves. Don't try to do something that you clearly can't do right away and then be surprised when you fail. It's not bad to try something that's beyond yourself, but it's bad to say that, well, I can't do this, and like you haven't put in the work to do that. Like if I started painting right now and then put my painting next to the Mona Lisa, would I be upset? No, because I haven't put all the time, effort, and energy into developing that skill. Maybe if I spent a lifetime doing it, maybe if I spent my waking days and nights and every aspect of myself into painting and I was still a terrible painter, maybe I'd be upset. But like it's understanding that you are at a certain place and you're building yourself up to another place, and you're always going to be faced with a little bit more of a challenge than the last time. And it's building yourself up to the point where you start down here and then you end up all the way here. And I think this is a very important way to put it, because so many people want to change the world in a day, and it's like, you can try to do that, maybe it works, but don't be surprised when it fails, and don't take it to heart when it fails, because it's a pipe dream. It's okay to have pipe dreams, it's okay to go out and try things, but it's not okay to be defeated by these things that you really have no right to do, that you really have no capability of doing. And I really just love this part of the chapter. So the last thing is self-acceptance. I think this one is very important as well. Most of our lives we spend reframing ourselves in the context of other people. This is why it's so easy to point out our flaws. It's so easy to look in the mirror and say, I don't have this, I don't have this, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like, cool. We could sit here all day and do that, but like, what does that give us? What does that develop us into? How does that help us? You know, you need to start understanding that you are who you are. You are who you are because of everything you've done, and it's okay. And if you don't like who you are right now, if you don't like the direction you're going right now, then you can change it. You know, everything is moving. Everything's in flux, and it's just something to experience. It's just a facet of your life right now that you need to get past. Like, if you're in a period of great hardship, if you're in a period of great pain, understand that everything ebbs and flows, that, you know, you're about to experience a lot of happiness because you went through all this struggle, because you're about to come out on the other side, and having faced all these challenges, now life is going to seem easy, and, you know, it's okay. It's okay to be who you are. It's okay to be who you are today. Like, you could be someone else in the future. It's just, like, I don't know if I can put this in a better way, because it's such a simple idea, but it's such a profound one as well, because you're never going to be happy trying to be someone else. You're never going to be happy until you accept exactly who you are, exactly the things you like to do, and drive towards something that fulfills you. And until you do this, you're going to be continually lost. But a successful person knows who they are, knows what they want, accepts their place in life and accepts that they are just experiencing the journey. So with that said, let me just make sure that's the rest of the chapter. Yeah, that's the rest of the chapter. I love you guys so much. I'm going to get back to doing this series more often. I don't know why I forgot about it. I just got sidetracked with other things. But yeah, it's a great book. Go ahead and check out the rest of the videos that I've made on it. And yeah, if you want another great book, go ahead and read mine. I don't know if I would consider it great, but yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for all the support recently. Peace out. I'll catch you in the next one.